calling my mom and saying, this is not doable. Like, what am I going to do? And I learned to love it. But then,
Do you remember what first inspired you? So
yeah,
motherhood,
yeah, it did. And I have to say, I grew up in a home that everybody loved coffee but me. And I remember when I had, this is so funny, I had my my first child, and I remember thinking, how do all these mothers stay awake? And I worked back then too, and it was a lot, working and taking care. And I was delusional because I thought I'm going to have my son. I had him on a Wednesday, and I was finishing a PhD program and work, and I thought I'll go back to work on Monday. Because when you've never had a child, you don't know. And I remember the Monday getting up and calling my mom and saying, this is not doable. Like, what am I going to do? And I had a job where they let me take him to work, but still, it was a lot. And my mom was like, you're going to have to drink coffee. So I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And so I started drinking coffee. My parents loved it growing up. They would offer us coffee with cream and sugar when we were little. I grew up on a farm, and it was, they would offer it, and I'd be like, no, I don't like it. I was the only one in my family that didn't like it, but I learned to love it after I had a child. And then I had, three more. So, but I love the taste of it. I also, as a scientist, I had a pituitary tumor and different types of cancer. And when I started researching, you can't ever claim that a natural substance cures anything. But I did know there were certain types of coffee and coffee beans that caused cancer cell death, apoptosis. And so it was one of the things that I added to my regimen when what happened was the cancer metastasized, and I was trying to eat everything from spirulina to coffee to resveratrol. I did give up alcohol for a while, and then I remember someone saying, well, one glass of alcohol is good because of the resveratrol. And I'm like, okay, I can add that back to my regimen. but, but like, I learned to love it. But then the more I researched it, the more I understood that it had mold and mycotoxins, and it had all kinds of things. So even though the pure bean could help from a physical perspective and from a healthcare perspective, because of the pesticides and GMOs and the land, air, and water that we have. And I hate even bringing up the topic because people are like, the environment's not that bad. I'm like, but it is. But the problem is, regardless of your political stance, our environment is not healthy like it used to be because we've had much pollution, right? And nuclear war. And when a nuclear war happens, for example, it does not leave the stratosphere, it disseminates across our world. And so a lot of our things that plants and herbs and roots and seeds, you have to be very careful where you get it. And then most of my career, I focused a lot on detoxification and really helping clean out the environment, people, even vitamins and minerals and seeds and plants. Like the things I've worked on, I try to explain this to people. You can go to the store and you can buy coffee or you can buy vitamins, and they can have heavy metals and lead and mercury and horrible things in it. And I don't want to scare people. So instead, what I do is I've worked on creating some things that hopefully will help people, feel, look, and be better, because we just all need to be as great as we can be. And there's no easy, like, one pill solution, right? So coffee was definitely something for me that people drink every day. And if they're going to drink it, I'm hoping they drink something that's, free of mycotoxins, that has a good pH level, that is fair trade, like I had a whole list of things that were so important to me. And so I think when ROM Roast launched, it was, and by the way, I did not come up with that name. The marketing department was like, we're going to call it ROM Roast. But I was very happy because, we ended up getting a 91% cup score. We worked really hard for that. Only 1% of the coffee in the world has a score that high. But I think what was more important than a score, it's kind of like an award. You know, my mom used to say, if you win homecoming queen or you win president or whatever, it doesn't matter. What's that going to do for you? And so the 91% cup score is great, but what it really mattered to me was that the coffee did not have toxins and the coffee did not have heavy metals and it hadn't been exposed to GMOs or pesticides. It was so important because if my name was going to be on it, it better be something that's really helping people and making their life better. You know, that was important to me.
I think your message is optimistic and inspiring. I think how you're sharing it's amazing. Dr. Christina Rahm, ROM Roast Coffee. If we want to learn more about the coffee, if we want to follow you, if we want to buy your coffee, where are the best ways to be looking for you? Social media, websites, where should we be looking?
So drchristinarom.com is my website, and then I'm on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn under Dr. Christina Rahm. But the Root Brands sells ROM Roast, and then there's a ROM Roast website, and I think it's romroast.com. The rootbrands.com is the other one, but the Root Brands is an affiliate model, and so basically that company gives away 50% of everything that they sell. And we also donate, just so everyone knows, we donate from every bag of coffee to philanthropy as well. But there is a new site where I know they're doing a standalone. You can buy ROM Roast on its own without doing anything else, and even at wholesale. So if people are interested in putting it into stores, they could contact me or they could contact under romroast.com and we would be able to facilitate that as well. So there's a huge discount when people do buy at wholesale. And we did that because of grocery stores and restaurants and things like that.
Amazing. Well, thank you. I think everyone who's listening and watching, we love coffee to begin with. And so finding out healthier ways to do it is really inspiring, and your message is inspiring.